The Donovan Mitchell trade finally happened, and Donovan Mitchell is a Cleveland Cavalier. I didn't expect it. A lot of people didn't expect it. I thought he was going to go to the Knicks. It happened, though, and he's on Cleveland. Let's just get right into it, man. This is the third big trade of the year, or of the offseason. We've had a few big trades. We had the DeJounte Murray one. We even had the Malcolm Brogdon one, which you can count as kind of big. We had the Rudy Gobert one, of course. We had the KD speculation, and now we have the actual Donovan Mitchell trade. So, the full trade is Donovan Mitchell to the Cleveland Cavaliers for Colin Sexton, who just got re-signed on a 4-year, $72 million deal or something like that. They also got Larry Markkanen. They got Ochai Agbaji, the rookie, and 3 first-round picks plus 2 pick swaps. So that is actually a really, really good package for Donovan Mitchell, because Colin Sexton still is a pretty good player, and if you don't want to keep him, you could trade him for something like for some young players or picks or anything, whatever you want. You still got Larry Markkanen, who now adds to your big depth. Even though you're not trying to win any games, it's good to actually have bigs on your team. And there's only centers right now were Udoka Azubuike and Walker Kessler, both young and inexperienced. So Larry's probably going to run some center minutes, but unless they trade him, which would be crazy, but you need centers in your team at the end of the day, and Larry can run center, even though he was running small forward last year. Yes, he can run center, so that definitely helps a bit. And looking at the Cavs side of things, this is deadly. First of all, I'm gonna just talk about all aspects of the trade, as my headphones just dropped. For the Cavs, what are the pros? Of course, Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell is a great player. They did lose the rookie who I kind of liked, Ochai Agbaji. They did lose him, but it's a small price to pay for a multiple-time All-Star who's been leading this Utah Jazz team, who were the first seed just 2 years ago. He's been leading them, and I mean, Rudy Gobert is also a big part of that, but still, Donovan Mitchell is an amazing NBA player. He dropped like 60-something in a playoff game was it 50-something? It might have been 57 or something like that. I forgot, but he dropped a lot in the playoff game, and he is now on the Cavs. He brings a lot of scoring there, so now they got another scoring option. He's probably going to be their main scoring option, and that's going to be Garland and then whoever else afterwards. But that team is looking so deadly, especially for the future, considering how young their core is. They got Darius, who's still young, who's dropped in 2019. They got Donovan, who's still somewhat young. He was drafted in 2017. That's still pretty young. And then, like for NBA standards at least. And then they got, who else? They got Evan Mobley, who's still like just off of his rookie season, who has a lot of potential. They got Jarrett Allen, who is also still decently young and was an All-Star last year. And lastly, they got well, that's their main core, but I guess you could even count Chris LeVert in there, who's still decently young. You got Isaac Okoro, who's still getting better. You got, it's just the only thing I'm a little worried about is their depth. Their depth definitely gets a little worse, but even when you think about it that way, it depends on who they start with, Isaac or Caris LeVert. But let's just say they start Caris LeVert because he's the better player. You still got Isaac off the bench. You got Kevin Love. You got Ricky Rubio. You got Cedi Osman. You got still a decent bench. So, and there's still a lot of decent guys at free agents. Like, I wouldn't be mad if they signed a guy like Dennis Schroeder to run that backup guard spot, or even a guy like, no, sign Melo, bro. Why not, bro? I mean, he's old, but he can still get some buckets. And if they sign Melo, I wouldn't be mad at it. But yeah, if they could just get a few more pieces off the bench that could help them finalize this team, then I think that will be perfect. and this team will be very, very good. Do I think they're a contender? Not yet. This is going to be their first year where they're kind of warming up. I think they're going to be similar to that, either the Atlanta, you could either say that Atlanta Hawks team, the Memphis Grizzlies team, or even a team like the Raptors were last season, to be honest, because the Cavs had a lot of high hopes, but they didn't make the playoffs. The Raptors were the 5 seed, and they brought the Sixers to 6 games. So they could have. I don't see them being more than a second round exit. And when I say that, I mean, like, yes, all their players are young, all their players are getting better, and they still have like an amazing team. But the depth isn't there, the experience isn't there. Like, their depth isn't terrible, but it's not like great. So the depth isn't completely there, the experience isn't there at all. And because, I mean, Donovan has a good amount of playoff experience. He's a good playoff performer, but after that, Darius has not made the playoffs. He's made the play-in, but not the playoffs. Jarrett has made it once or twice, but yeah, Jarrett has made it. Karis LeVert also has made it once or twice. But then you got Evan Mobley, who's still young. Isaac Okoro, who's still young. Kevin Love does. Now that I think about it, there is more experience on this team than I realized. But when you look at a team like this team, and then you look at a team like the Hawks, I think a 4-5 series of this team versus the Hawks would be very interesting to see. I would love to see that, because they both got deadly backcourts, and they both got a lot of young pieces. Well, not really a lot of young. The Hawks don't have that many young pieces. They still have DeAndre Hunter, though, who's kind of young. They still got Onyeka Okongwu. They still got Jalen Johnson. So they got a decent amount of guys who could be kind of the young pieces for their future. So, I mean, the young core isn't great, but it's not bad by any standards. It's not bad at all. Trae Young is still young. DeJounte is still young. So really, a series like that would be 2 young teams with stars going up against each other. And I would love to see it. Plus the Hawks still got Bogey. They still got Clint, John Collins, all those guys on the team. So that team is looking nasty. The Cavs are looking nasty. And both teams are looking into this season to try and contend. Of course, do I think either of them can contend? Not this year. They're up there, but they're not contenders. I don't see either of these teams winning a championship. Y'all can clip this and play it back at the end of the year. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I'd be glad to see either of these teams win a championship. But I just don't think it would work. I don't think it would work this year, because both teams are very young and they have little playoff experience. And when you look at the other teams that are in the running to be contenders in the East this year, you got teams like the Sixers with Joel Embiid, James Harden. All the experience on that team is ridiculous. And you also got teams like even the Nets. I don't think the Nets could beat. I'm not saying that the Nets could beat either of these teams. We don't know what to expect from the Nets after everything that's happened in the past year and a half. But I'm saying that the Nets definitely do have a lot more experience. And although being old does have the downside of you like regressing, it also has the upside of you having a lot more experience. And I guess that's what I'm thinking about in this situation, where if I had the Nets and the Hawks in the playoff series, who wins? I have no idea. I do not know, but it really comes down to youth versus experience. Youth versus experience. Young talent versus experience. So, you know what I'm saying? I don't know how much I believe in this team yet. I haven't seen anything from them. We'll see when the season starts. But right now, I don't have this team as a contender. Not yet. I don't even think they can make the they could possibly. There's a small chance, but I don't think they're like a lock to make the conference finals. I think they could possibly have that year like the Hawks had in 2021, but I'm not positive. I'm not that confident in that happening. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, this team still is really good. That's a good improvement to add Donovan Mitchell to the team. And I can't wait, man. The Raptors and Cavs are facing off on day 1 of the season, so we'll see what happens there, but we'll see. Moving on, we got, oh yeah, if I had to give this team a trade grade, I'd give them definitely 100% A. Not A plus, A. Because I don't know what to expect from this team. There's one other thing I want to talk about, which was the defense. Both Darius and Donovan are small guards and don't have that much, like their defense isn't great. So when you're facing guys like Curry, when you're facing guys like Kyrie, who's guarding them? Their big defense is amazing. Their post defense is great. Is Evan Mobley guarding Kyrie? Is Evan Mobley really guarding Curry though? I don't know. I don't think so. So we'll see what happens in the season, but for now, I'm not 100% on this team yet. I'd say it's still a good trade. It's still great to add Donovan Mitchell, but I'm not 100% confident in this team yet. So yeah, that's all I gotta say really about the Cavs. But the Jazz, on the other hand, the Jazz are going to tank heavy this year, man. They are tanking. They traded Rudy. They traded Donovan. They even traded Patrick Beverley. So it really shows they are not trying to win any games this year. Also, that reminds me, this is the second time that Patrick Beverley has gone to a team and then been traded immediately from that team. Because last year he got traded from the Clippers to the Grizzlies, and then immediately, literally hours later, after he even posted on Twitter about being ready to play for the Grizzlies, he got traded again from the Grizzlies to the Timberwolves. And yeah, so then that happened, and then this year he got traded from the Timberwolves to the Jazz, and he's getting ready to play for the Jazz, but then he gets traded from the Jazz to the Lakers. And so the Jazz are really tanking this year. They are not trying to win any games. They are going for, really, people are saying the Spurs are going for Victor and the other teams are tanking. But I really think the Spurs would need Scoot Henderson, who's another point guard who I've heard about in this upcoming draft class. The Spurs will need a guy like him because he's a point guard. He definitely fits their team better. Although Victor is a generational talent, it would be a much better fit for Scoot to go to the Spurs, who need a point guard, and for Victor to go to the Jazz, who are now in desperate need of a center. When the guy who they had for the past 10 or so years just got traded away. They need a new center to bring in the new generation, to add some youth to the team, to maybe help them win in the future. And that's Victor Wembanyama, man. I honestly think that the Jazz should go for Victor and the Spurs should go for Scoot. Because if the Spurs went for Victor, now they have Jakob, they have Victor, they have Keldon, are they going to run Victor at power forward? Maybe, but like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? I'd rather, and then also Jeremy Sokan too. So I really think it'd be better for the Spurs to get Scoot and the Jazz to get Victor. But nonetheless, the Jazz did get a lot of picks from trading both of their stars. They also got Ochai Agbaji, who's a young piece, a rookie, who they could definitely help get better in the future. They also, from the trades that they did, they got THT. They got they got Walker Kessler, I think, from one of those trades. They got Jared Vanderbilt, who I really like. They got a lot of guys here who could definitely improve in the future. And when you just add Victor to that young core already, it's deadly. Even if the Jazz got Scoot, to be honest, now that I think about it, if the Jazz did get Scoot, Mike Conley is getting older, and if they want to trade him for some pieces in the future, they could do that, and then just have Scoot run the point guard. So, the Jazz really are doing their tanking job pretty well right now. They got a lot of picks, a lot of young pieces, and now we just gotta see. We don't even gotta see how they do this season. We just gotta see how the young players progress, and we gotta see how the draft lottery goes. Because the team was led by Donovan Mitchell before. He was the main scoring option. Now that he's gone, who's going to be the main scoring option? I've heard that Bogey's in trade-off, that Bogdanovich, the other one, Bojan Bogdanovich, I've heard that he is in some trade talks. I've heard that Jordan Clarkson's in some trade talks. I don't know about Mike Conley, but if anybody was to be the scoring option, right now it'd probably be Bojan Bogdanovich. But if it's not him, if he gets traded, then I mean, actually no, it'd be Colin Sexton. Now that I think about it, Colin Sexton. I completely forgot about that man. But he came back in this trade as well, and when he's good, he's good. We've seen that in the 2020-2021 season. I remember that one time where he dropped 40 on the Nets, and everybody was like, oh, and it was like a double overtime game or something, and he won. He like willed the Cavs to that win, and we've seen him at his best. Can he go beyond that? I don't know. Who knows? We'll see. But yeah, the team is terrible, and they're really just looking to get a good pick, let their young players get better, and do what they can to get to that spot where they were again, the first seed, and hopefully past the spot where they were before as a second round exit every year. Hopefully they can get past it, because I did like Donovan Mitchell on the Jazz, which made me like a slightly less of like a little bit a Jazz fan. Like I wanted the Jazz to win. I was rooting for them kind of because I like Donovan Mitchell, and you know what I'm saying. But really, what this trade does, oh yeah, I forgot, for the Jazz trade grade, I'd definitely give it an A+, because they got the young pieces, they got the picks. Both teams won the trade, but I just think I'm more sure of the Jazz, because the Jazz, it's easier to tank than to win. And I know the Jazz are gonna tank, but I don't know how sure I am of the Cavs winning, because they're gonna win, but I don't know how much they'll win. I don't know if they'll be able to make it to that next level, and we'll see. But as I was saying before, really what this does is make the Cavs one of the most fun and lovable teams in the league. You got two 7-footers down low, you got two 6'1" guys at the top, and everybody getting buckets, throwing lobs to Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, and Darius Garland could be a lob trio, and then Donovan Mitchell just getting buckets on the side. Like, this team is gonna look nasty, but I'm still not so sure. I just have to see something from them before I make any solid predictions. Of course, I'm gonna make my predictions before the beginning of the year, but I have to see something. I have to see something that makes me believe in them 100% that they could be contenders. If I was to believe that they'd be contenders, I had to see something from them in the first few games of the season that showed me, oh, nah, this team is really here to do what they have to do. They're really here to work. And we'll see what happens, but for now, I'm just gonna watch and see. I don't know, like, we can't really do anything else. It's still the off season, but soon the season is coming. I will come out with my prediction videos sometime in October and September. I'll start in September and then finish them off in October right before the season begins. And yeah, so if you enjoyed, please like, subscribe, share, comment down below your tips, tricks, or ideas, or topics, my bad, that you have for me to talk about on this channel. Sorry this is coming out like 2-3 days late. Yeah, 3 days late. Yeah, that's my explanation. And I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace.